All right, for today's Sunday review, we are checking out kind of an unexpected find here. I was out at Target looking for a completely different figure, and I happened upon a Transformers Studio Series 86 Blur. I didn't even know that these guys were coming out yet, but now I'm seeing reports that some of them are actually making into stores. But it was kind of a fun feeling to be one of the first people to find them. I didn't get the other ones out of the deluxe wave. This was the only one that was there, but yeah, here we have a Studio Series Blur. I mean, yeah, it's pretty exciting that they're moving the Studio Series at least temporarily in this line because before it was like it's a whole section of Transformers that I didn't really care to buy because I'm not a huge fan of the Michael Bay designs or even really the Bumblebee movie designs, at least not in toy form. But yeah, having them be representations of the 1986 movie characters is basically just having like a second Generations line, which is super awesome. But yeah, here we have a Blur from the 1986 movie. Here he is in his nice little Cybertronian hover car mode, and it's a pretty good mode. I kind of wish that it had wheels or something on the bottom, but because it just like sits here, but that's not really the end of the world. I don't need it to roll around. It's not something I would have necessarily expected, just would have been kind of nice. He does come with two accessories here. He comes with his gun and then also a little hand welder that you can put over his hand in robot mode. They both store in alt mode. The way that they store is you take this section of the gun here with this slot cut out of it, and then it kind of tabs onto this little tab right there. And then you take the welder, and these two little tabs go into these slots right here. So it all stores like that. And I don't think that looks particularly great. The welder is like fine. Like it's still kind of blocking sitting under there, but like it's mostly covered when you're looking at it from the top. But the gun, like, I don't really like that storage with the handle just like sticking out of the side. So I don't know. It's one of those cases where like it doesn't really store, but it's got a place that you can put it on the alt mode. But certainly better than some, but not super fantastic in my opinion. To show him off with some other relevant Transformers, here he is with Siege Springer, who I think is pretty much going to be our stand-in for a Studio Series 86 Springer. Here he is with, I believe it's Titans Returns, either Titans Returns or Power of the Prime, but I'm pretty sure it's Titans Returns. Wheelie. So you can see the little, part of the cast of the 86 movie there together. And then just to show them off with a more, I don't know, I guess, like widely had figure, here he is with Siege Sideswipe, who's got some repro labels on him, but either way, just for a size comparison there. So yeah, pretty good size car mode. To transform him, first thing you want to do is take the side sections here where the arms are. They're kind of like tabbed in with these little hook tabs, so I find it's better to kind of like rotate them out that way rather than just yanking on them. So you rotate them out and just have those kind of chilling out to the side for right now. These white panels here, which will be the feet, tab into these blue panels. And for right now, all you really want to do is untab them. You don't have to, just because you got to move some other parts around before you can move the legs the rest of the way. And then after you untab them, you fold these blue sections down to the side and tab them in, which then creates these openings here that you basically bring the double hinge that the side sections are attached to. You bring that up into that section and click it in place. And then you can actually do the rest of the leg transformation since those aren't in the way anymore. You just undo these panels here and bring them out to the side. The legs actually transform pretty similarly to, which one was it? To the Titans Returns Blur. But yeah, otherwise it's like a totally new mold, but kind of interesting that that this part of the transformation is pretty similar. Then you unfold the legs the rest of the way, untab them, and then take the little top fin here and rotate it onto the inside, and then close the legs back up, and then take these sections here and just fold them down, and those will make his feet. Take the little seat here from alt mode and just fold it into the body flush. Take these sections here. They only rotate around one way, so you just rotate them around. I always mess it up, and then take the whole section here, rotate it around just so the arms are facing downward, and then you take these sections and they fold onto the back of the arm. They've got like a little panel here that opens up so that the hand has clearance to come through, so you fold that up and just push that back into place. And then you take the little cockpit section here and rotate it around, and then take the whole nose cone section here and fold it back and on a double hinge, and it just like clicks into place. And there you have Studio Series Blur in his robot mode. And yeah, he looks pretty good overall, I would say. The one kind of issue that I have with him is I think the head sculpt is like a little bit awkward. Trying to get it to focus here. Come on, there we go. It's I don't know. It's definitely takes some getting used to. Like looking at images of it, I think it looks way worse than it does like in person. Looking at it now, but it definitely does throw me off a little bit. The face just like looks like a little bit weird and long, and I think it's mostly because these blue sections here on the side of his helmet don't extend down to be like in line with the chin like it is on the character model. They're kind of like sticking up like almost under his lips. So it makes it look like he's got either just a really long face or like a really like scrunched up helmet that doesn't fit him. So I'm not entirely sure why they did that. Part of the head sculpt is also like the neck, which it sort of makes him look like he's got like a weirdly long neck. And I feel like if they just extended those darker blue sections down to be down where the chin was, it would look totally fine. It's a bit of a nitpick. I think it's something that will just kind of grow on me over time, because from certain angles it looks just fine, but like straight on it just, I don't know, it just looks a little awkward to me. But otherwise he looks pretty good, I would say. Articulation wise, the head is on a ball joint at the base of the neck, so like that's all one section, so you can rotate it around and get a bit of wiggling back and forth, but not a ton. The shoulders have a few joints in them. They can rotate around just on that joint that we use for transformation. And then when you, sorry, how to focus a bit, can rotate around. And then when you rotate them out to the side, this section, it only rotates to about there. And then for the rest of the way, when you do it, it like unlocks from this like shoulder section, which looks a little bit awkward, but I think it works overall. Elbows have pretty much 90 degrees of bend. He does have wrist swivels, but this whole panel is kind of attached to it. So like, and it only really rotates one way too. So like in certain poses, like I think it would look fine, but mostly it's kind of weird that all moves together. So it's almost like he just doesn't have wrist swivels, which is not a big deal, to be honest. Oh, I have it rotated the wrong way. And then he's got a waist swivel, which works fine. He's got universal joints at the hips, so it can rotate up that much, back all the way, out all the way. He's got a thigh swivel, sort of internal, which means it doesn't break up the sculpt, which is nice. 90 degrees of bend at the feet. Then the feet themselves, they do have ankle tilts, and then because of transformation, you can also tilt them forward, which I think like just like one click forward helps in a lot of poses for, getting him in a sort of action stance where he's kind of got the one leg leaning back. So I think that works pretty well, but they can't rotate back just because it pretty much just goes into the to the foot there. With his accessories, of course, he can just hold his gun, and the welder will go into either hand. You just kind of slot it over the hand, and it looks okay. I don't remember the exact scene that that this is referencing. I assume it's one from the movie, but it's it's been a few months since I've watched the movie. I don't remember a scene where Blur is using a hand welder, but it's kind of a neat accessory. Neither of them really have anywhere to store in robot mode. I mean, I guess the welder you can kind of just plug back in to where it was in alt mode by just tabbing it back under here, because there is enough space. Like it sits a little bit differently, but I think it's still fairly flush. But there's really nowhere to put the gun at all, which kind of sucks, but since it doesn't really store in vehicle mode either, it's just kind of a case where I'm just going to leave these accessories off to the side and, just consider it as he didn't come with anything, which is fine by me, but, something to consider for other people there. But yeah, I'll show him off again with those figures. Here he is again with Springer and Wheelie there. So you can see stacks up pretty well with them. I think it scales relatively well. Springer, of course, not really making it onto shot here. And then here he is again with Siege Sideswipe. So you can see, yeah, pretty average size deluxe, kind of tall, but he's not like the tallest figure in the world to compare him to. But yeah, he's a pretty good figure. I think that the biggest thing for me is the head sculpt, honestly. And I think that, honestly, that's going to be something that I just kind of warm up to over time. I do wish those blue sections came down a little bit, but overall, I think it's pretty effective. And I love the colors of much more than the Titans Return version. I mean, there was like the Japanese repaint of the Titans Return version that had the much more accurate colors. But even then, like that's really hard to get and kind of expensive to import from overseas. And then it's still a headmaster when I felt it shouldn't be. So it's like, I think this is a much better figure in my opinion. Well, maybe not a better figure, but better for Blur. I guess I would say. But yeah, he's a pretty good figure overall. If you enjoy my videos, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing. I do BotBots reviews on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then other reviews like these on Sundays. And yeah, if you've got anything you want me to review, make sure to leave it in the comments and I'll let you know if I have it. But here we have Transformers Studio Series 86 Blur.